When was the last time you seen Tupac?
I want to say at the he came to the 5 on It remix. No. He came to the Oregano Flow video shoot. And then I believe that night we went to it gets blurry because I know he came to the Oregano Flow video shoot, him and Suge, and he had a big entourage. But then I also saw him in LA. I don't remember if it was that night or if it was that same summer at the House of Blues at a concert. Um, yeah. So it was in 96, the summer of 96.
How did them conversations go?
Um, we just talked about, what he wanted to do. And he was telling me about the music that he had and the music that he was gonna do that was already complete. He already had albums done, right? Um, I remember when I at the very beginning, because this was the first time that I saw him after All Eyes on Me came out, right? And I told him that album, I told him I didn't like it so much as I liked his other albums, because it didn't sound like I was used to hearing him. Like normally, if he had if he had a song that was talking about some gangster shit, there was usually a consequence at the end of that record, or um, there was a balance, of doing dirt, consequences of dirt, uh, you know, doing something positive. You know what I mean? There was a balance where it sounded, when I first heard All Eyes on Me, it just sounded real vengeful and like purposely like I can't even explain it. It just wasn't the same. And he was like, "Yeah, man, that's cool. I'm gonna get back to what you're talking about. Talking about more like the Tupacalypse Now, or even Strictly for My Niggas, that type of messaging." And then I was like, "Why you didn't put me on that record?" So I was probably mad at that too. But yeah, we had um some conversation, and it was deep. It explained some of the questions that I had, but the what I got the most out of it is, like he said, he was wanting to fulfill his obligation of the records that he needed to do, and then he was going to get back. And that record especially, he wanted to get that off his chest, right? You fast forward 20, 26 years later, it's one of my favorite albums, especially this one, right? Classic. But it had to grow on me because I just wasn't used to it when I first heard it. And I told him, and he was like, "Cool." Now I love it.
Did he ever try to bring you around Death Row?
He invited me once or twice he invited me to a video shoot, and he invited me to just come down. But I had heard stories, and I just wasn't feeling like I wanted to be around an environment that I couldn't be in control of. Meaning, meaning, if we're standing there, and if I'm talking to Pac and somebody go woo or make some noise and everybody got to run to go do something, I didn't want to put myself in that environment. Not like I wasn't gonna go run and do it, but the fact that he would have had to go and run with the pack, right? And I was like, I don't even want to be around that, because I take it personal if you spun off on me on some dumb stuff like that. So I just kind of let it, you know. I was like, I'll see you when you come up here, or when I see you.
Do you think Tupac was leaving Death Row?
Mm, I know that in our conversation, he said he was wanting to, fulfill his obligation, and he was close to it. Because when I saw him, even when All Eyes on Me, when we talked about All Eyes on Me, he told me he already had 7 more albums done. Right? I don't even know what his obligation was to Death Row, but um, anybody that knows Tupac, he is his own person. You know what I mean? So eventually, that having to do what somebody is asking or telling him to do it wouldn't last, right? But then we also know that um, money talks, right? So, I heard about the Death Row East, and then who knows what would happen with that, right? So I don't know. This is a question for somebody who was around, like the Outlaws, or even Buckshot and Smith and Wesson, who did the One Nation album. They probably had the 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 probably the last conversations that were had about that. But this is what I do know, that Pac was never going to be controlled for too long. When I say controlled, meaning if the person that runs that label was telling you when you can do this and how you can do this and what you got to do and da 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 da, that was going to play out eventually, I believe.
Right, right. I mean, if you're saying that he told you that he's almost done with his obligation, I mean, that sounds like a guy that's about to bounce.
Well, that doesn't mean that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to bounce, because the conversation was more about the type of music that he was making. But he just came out that I have 7 records, and I'm just I needed to get that off my chest, and I got 7 albums, and I'm trying to get through my thing and finish my obligation. Now, that could mean I'm ready to finish that so I could go do my own thing, or that could mean I'm finished that. Now I can tell this dude to give me what I really want if he wants me to stay. Or now it's got to be like this. Or I'm going to run it, I'm going to do my business like this moving forward. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I've heard that he, was probably going to move on. If somebody told me that, it sounds like Tupac, because like I said, Tupac was always going to be his own person and want to do what he wasn't going to be told what to do or how to do for too long. He might, what do you call it? Uh, Go along with it to do what he needs to get done, at the same time fulfilling an obligation, and then feel like, okay, I did this, I made all this for you, I did that, now I'm about to go do this, right? So I would be, it felt like that's what he was trying to say, but like I said, you don't know. We don't know. I feel like he would have.